to do is, so we're doing an update from various departments, as well as the recovery program. We're taking about 5 minutes for each person to give the update, and then we'll move into Q&A. We're going to start with the first update on recovery dollars spent to date and the housing buyout program. Douglas Lay will be giving us the update on that. I will turn the floor over to Douglas.
Thank you, Zendo. You know, our colleagues from other departments are going to be covering a lot of the very critical information that we all want to know today regarding infrastructure and investment, both in the county and our partners here at the state. You know, in my time, I want to cover a couple of related aspects of our work. One being just an update on the voluntary housing buyout program. It is one facet of the work that we do. For those of you who may know, we launched the program in April with the first phase for primary homes. And then we reopened the second phase for second homes and also primary homes who would also want to apply back in November. So we're right now kind of in the third month of this application phase. To date, we have 295 active primary home applications. We have just crossed an important threshold around an accepted offer from an applicant. And so, I think excited for that applicant and that family. And as we continue to work through to be able to move our applicants forward in this process. And in terms of phase 2 applications, we are at 157 applications that are second homes. Some more primary homes came in this time around. But of the 157, we have started intake and initial interviews with those applicants to look at their application and understand what next steps are with their situation. We will be closing this current application phase on January 31st. And our next application phase, our third and final one, will be in May of 2022. May of 2022, that's right. Essentially, at that point, not only folks who may be eligible under phases 1 and 2, primary and second homes, but also those who own undeveloped properties may start to apply. And so, we're excited to really be able to round the corner of this month to understand kind of who's applied full picture for phases 1 and 2. And, we'll be providing updates to that effect at that point in time. We've already received 85 registrations, just people identifying their interest to apply for phase 3. That's for undeveloped properties. I think we spent a lot of time today talking about all the information that we're trying to share, but also information and knowledge that we're trying to bring into our work. The website is a big part of it. A lot of credit to Tom Callis, who maintains that for us on the team. We are looking to and have continued to revamp areas of it. So if you see things changing, welcome feedback on it as well. So we've really worked to reorganize some of the information that we'll be talking about today regarding infrastructure investment on our website, in particular to the funding. Similar to an update we provided at County Council a few months back, we want to kind of revamp the information we're presenting and really look at kind of point in time information, grants and funds received, grants and funds spent, dollars encumbered but not spent, and then remaining balances across the different sources from some of the state funds, which have been really critical to our work, from the state legislature and governor's office, and also the federal funding that's assisting from HUD on the buyout program and across the infrastructure projects as well. So please stay tuned on that. We're going to revamp this week to be one more source of information and to really provide probably at a quarterly basis. We'll try to keep it updated for the spread of the funds for everyone to be aware. And the last update I'll speak to is, we've been able to launch the Puna Strong program, grant making in conjunction with Hawaii Community Foundation as a partner to the county, and also last year launched the Kilauea Recovery Grants Program. Just want to acknowledge the really important work the Puna Strong grantees have been doing. We've closed out several Kilauea Recovery Grants already. Super proud about all the work that folks are doing on that front at Kuokola and Nilani States to make permanent repairs to the roads, a number of other smaller projects. We are kind of looking at relaunching these grant sources in this calendar year, so in 2022. Some of the efforts that has been spoken to today from the economic development surveying that is being shaped to even the heart and soul statements to inform what that looks like. Please stay tuned on those opportunities. And we will be getting the word out once application or more information is available. But that is kind of next on our horizon to continue to support recovery and long-term resilience in our communities in Puna.
Excellent. Thank you, Douglas. And please hold your questions, and we will be doing Q&A after we do all the updates. And it'd be best if you're going to do it in the chat, probably wait till the end so we can keep track of those. We will move on to road infrastructure. Ikaika Rodenhurst with Department of Public Works. Turn the floor over to you.
Right, mahalo Zendo, and mahalo Councilman Kirkowitz for getting this together, and mahalo everyone for attending. It's important to know what's going on in your community and in our community in Puna, and I really do appreciate this opportunity to provide the updates that we do have. As presented in this slide, we have made the commitment to restore portions of Highway 137, of Lighthouse Road, and Pohiki Road, including a lower portion realignment that I'll get into in just a minute. And we have on our list of alternate projects the Post Office Road in Pahoa. We will provide updates to the estimated timelines that are on the recovery website. They're not available at this time. We are working with HAIMA and FEMA to progress together through this EA process, and we will be providing updates to those estimated timelines as soon as possible. If we can move on to the lower portion realignment. So here is the Mauka section of Lower Pohiki. Just for clarification, there are two major portions of Pohiki that we are working on for recovery. The upper portion, which is inundated with lava, that won't be covered in these slides today. This is for the lower realigned portion. We're realigning the lower portion of Pohiki to make improvements to the safety of the road. There are some dangerous curves that exist that have contributed to some of the accidents in the past, and we are making our efforts to realign that road to make it safer, as well as provide a pathway for a water line down to Pohiki Park. We have options in the Mauka and Makai sections of this lower Pohiki realignment that give us some flexibility as we go through this EA process. As the EA process progresses, we may encounter some obstacles or roadblocks that would require us to be flexible and change our alignment. And so we want to prepare for that and not waste any time. So we have our options here for what we would like to do, and then some alternatives in case there are any issues that arise during that EA. So moving forward on this Mauka portion of the lower Pohiki, we have option A and option B. Option A, which is the next slide, is our DPW's current recommendation. This one will not impact any of the exceptional mango trees that exist along Pohiki. There are approximately 25 mango trees that are identified in this realignment that are outside the current county right-of-way that could be impacted and affected by this, and 17 properties that would be impacted by this realignment. This realignment, as I said previously, does improve the safety of the road, which is our main goal for this realignment. The next one after this would be the option B for Mauka. And this one has, again, no impact to the exceptional mango trees that are protected by ordinance. It does impact 8 mango trees outside of those exceptional mango trees and 10 properties. There is going to be still improvements to safety with this alignment, and that is our alternative to our option A at this time for the Mauka section. Both these sections do improve the safety of this road on the Mauka portion of Lower Pohiki. Moving on to our Makai alignments, we have 3 options on the Makai section of Lower Pohiki. Currently, our current recommendation is for one. As you can see on this, we have Option 1 keeps it close to the existing alignment of Lower Pohiki. Option 2 takes us a little further away and creates another intersection, and option 3 takes us even further away. Again, these options were created to give us some flexibility, and all these options included here have no impact to the protected exceptional mango trees of Pohiki Road. Moving on to option 1 in this slide presentation. As I stated, no exceptional mango trees will be affected. There are identified 7 mango trees that could be affected by this realignment. 1 property would be affected, and there are minimum safety concerns for this alignment. This takes us into the existing intersection of Highway 137 and Pohiki Road and provides access down to Isaac Hawley Beach Park. And this is our current recommendation through DPW as what we would like to proceed with. Obviously, the EA has to be completed before we finalize those plans. Moving on to option 2. Again, no exceptional mango trees would be affected by this. There are identified 3 mango trees that would be affected outside of the existing county right-of-way. This does create an additional intersection, as mentioned, and would create the need to cut down additional trees along Highway 137. As far as what kind of trees those are, those would be identified in the EA process, and this option would create a concern for some safety when creating a new intersection, and it could be, well, it would be clarified in that EA process if this were to be an option and we were to get a exact survey of the area that would give us clarity as far as sight distances and concerns for curvatures of the road, any kind of bad corners or tight turns on that road. And those are things that we would have to keep in mind when putting this together. This is option 2. So the next option would be option 3. This option 3 takes us further south from the intersection of 137 and Pohiki. No mango trees of the exceptional type are going to be affected. No mango trees would be affected by this, and 1 property would be affected by this alignment. Again, there would be concerns for the new intersection down there, and any kind of road improvements that will be necessary for dips and curves. Again, these are options for what we can possibly see depending on how the EA turns out through that process, and we are engaging with HAIMA and FEMA through this. Those are our options for Lower Makai Pohiki. We do anticipate that we'll be collaborating the entire way with FEMA and HAIMA through this process, and know any kind of issues that arise or may arise through this, and we're working with them along the way. One of the good things about this is once this realignment is completed, we are looking at the possibility of repurposing the existing Lower Pohiki Road to be a pedestrian or bike path, and we will work with other departments to see how that will be done moving forward after the realignment. That's all I have for Lower Pohiki. And for our update today, we can go into the Q&A a little later. I know there have been some concerns regarding Kamaili and Red Road. As always, you can contact DPW if there are safety concerns for trees, for roadway conditions, striping, and signs. You can contact our divisions through our online website or through calling us at our DPW office, 961-8321, and happy to get into some of those questions later on. Other than that, that concludes our update for DPW. Mahalo.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kaika. We will now move on to water infrastructure with the Department of Water Supply. We have Keith Okamoto, the Manager Chief Engineer, joined by Kavika Uehara, his deputy, and Kurt Inaba, the other Chief Engineer in there. Thank you, guys. I'll turn it over to you, Keith.
Right, mahalo, Zendo. Mahalo to everybody who was involved with putting together this event. Quite impressive with everything that went on. So kudos to everybody involved. As you can see on the screen, we have a total of 14 projects, I believe. But the top 8 that we're prioritizing is shown on the screen. Total amount, some amount of these projects add up to a little bit over what FEMA has authorized us as far as funding availability. So we remain hopeful that we'll see good bids moving forward. But there's a likelihood that we won't be able to do them all. As Ikaika mentioned, we will be coordinating with Public Works on the alignment for Pohiki Road water line replacement. Basically, the water line will follow the roadway. It will be installed within the road right-of-way, as well as the addition of the water line to Kapoho Vacation Land area along Highway 137. So basically standard water line installation for the majority of those two projects, which is a buried water line within the road right away, as mentioned. We will probably need to get creative on Upper Pohiki Road and see how we can get that water line installed in a way that will allow DPW to do what they need to do with their road and access points, but as far as the water line, install it in a way such that the temperature, subsurface temperatures, or even the ambient temperature coming up from the ground can be somewhat mitigated so that we don't melt our gaskets. So moving down the line, I do want to spend a little bit of time on number 3, Keao wells and a reservoir. I know there's some concern about money being spent in the Keao region. The reasons why we're pursuing this project and it's a priority for us is that we actually lost 2 well sources because they were constructed with by not following current well construction standards. Long story short, what that means is without a properly cased well, there are potentials for subsurface contamination of our groundwater supply, and none of us want that. So we have discontinued use of 2 wells. So this project will help us recover that lost capacity. And not many people know, but we have a water line running all the way down Pahoa Road. So these wells also provide backup to Pahoa Town and the areas that are wells in Pahoa service. So it'll provide water not only to Keao and Curtis Town, but this project can also provide water to HPP, Nana Valley, Pahoa Town, and the real reasons for our projects revolve around restoration, resiliency, redundancy, and creating regional opportunities for either economic or housing opportunities. Kalapana waterline remediation, that's to address a long overdue leaking water pipe from the lava flow in the 80s. So anyway, so here are our projects. Nana Valley, happy to say since our last Revitalize Puna event, we were able to meet with several of the community organizations, receive their input, Nana Valley being one of them. So we have, my apologies, I think we're working on trying to get these 2 options on a platform where the residents in Nana Valley can kind of weigh in on which option they prefer. But basically creating a improved looped waterline system within Nana Valley, again, for remediation, for resiliency, as well as redundancy in that community. Similarly for HPP, Hawaiian Paradise Park waterline improvements, where we've met with them and are also evaluating suggestion that some of them came up with to extend waterline to the community center. We're running the numbers and checking the hydraulics and the engineering behind that right now as we speak. Pahoa Village waterline improvements. I know there's a great need in Pahoa, economic hub of the area, as well as just kind of like the center of the area. So we have a water line in Old Pahoa Road that is about due for replacement. So that's what that project is about, as well as providing opportunities for improved fire protection in the area. Similar for Post Office Road. So that's our main priority projects for water supply. And if we can go to the next slide. Yeah, these are secondary. Should there be some small miracle that there's still funding available, we could pursue some of these. But you know, I'm not real hopeful in that regards. But we'll keep them on just in case, right? We want to overprescribe instead of under when we're dealing with federal funds. We would not want to leave money left on the table. And I think the next slide will just show you overall graphically of our proposed projects. And I think the recovery team also has done a good job of updating it on the county recovery website. If you don't have the opportunity to screenshot it here, it's readily available on the recovery website. And we look forward to working on these projects and continued working with the community and our county partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Just want to throw that out there too, because I get a unique opportunity to kind of be in the middle of all these, and the collaboration that's been occurring between, DPW, DWS, the recovery team, as well as parks, obviously, has just been paramount. It's been amazing to work through these issues and try to find creative solutions. And just want to say thank you guys very much. Okay, now we will move over to parks infrastructure, and I will turn it over to Mo Messina. The floor is yours. And if you're speaking, I'm not hearing you.
I usually forget to mute the other way. That's great.
There you go. Okay, Mo.
So I also have tonight with me Michelle Hiraishi, who's our Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation as well. So I'd like to start off by thanking the Ohana and everyone who visited with us down at Isaac Holly in December. Heard a lot of great stories, learned a lot about the families down there, and so really appreciative of that opportunity. And with the dates that Ashley showed on the screen as we were beginning at all the different farmers markets, Michelle and I will both be at all of these as we look to reimagine Isaac Holly and get all the ideas from the folks as we put together everything that we feel that the community wants down there. And I'd also like to give another thanks to Water Supply and DPW for working to get the water line replacement down at Isaac Holly. That's going to be a very big deal for us. That means we can get rid of the portable toilets. We can turn the showers back on, get our bathrooms working again. So that is a big positive for us. Okay, so there have been questions about the amount of money that was provided to us from FEMA. Our initial estimates for a total replacement of Ahalanui and Isaac Holly, including lava removal, came out to around $1 billion. And that's where we started working our way down. When we started looking at what was actually lost at both places, when we tried to do a bare bones, what we submitted to FEMA was Ahalanui about 21 million and Isaac Holly about 15 million, 15.8 million. By the time all the negotiations and the numerous iterations that we had for our estimates, FEMA finally approved us right around $5 million for both parks. Next slide, please. So this is the area that we're talking about. Down at the bottom third of the page, you can see where the boat ramp is. Right above that is where the parking lot is, where we have our ADA parking stalls and a very small pavilion. Over to the left, where the red dot is, where it says Park Site County, that is where the bathrooms are, and that's also where the boat and truck trailer parking is, and also the small area that wasn't taken completely for the barbecue pits and the camping area. In the top left section, you'll see another county-owned area which belongs to the park as well, and that is for recreational purposes. That is about a 4-acre spot of land there that we feel would be good for some new development. So just wanted to start talking about the areas that we have available, so when we have the talk story sessions, everyone knows what we're dealing with. Next slide, please. Here's our budget breakdown. We plan right now to put $3 million at the park, $1.7 million for equipment to take care of the parks, and $200,000 for other Puna parks, and we'll get into those in the next slides. I'll go over a couple of pieces of equipment. For instance, the third down on the list, the rubbish truck. We do not have a rubbish truck for the entire Puna district. We need this to service our parks. Right now, our staff are required to make numerous trips in their mid and full-size pickup trucks daily to transport trash and rubbish and haul away abandoned property at these parks. If we're talking about a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, or a Monday morning, we're talking one park. Our guys may have to make 5 or 6 trips back and forth to that park in their vehicles just to get rid of the rubbish. So when we utilize these standard work trucks to haul large volumes of trash, it's inefficient for our staff, not only for the multiple trips required to cross long distances, for instance, like at Isaac Holly, but affects our ability to perform other essential maintenance duties, like if we're getting ready for a big event at one of our parks on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. The dump trucks, right now we have, I believe we have 4 operational, well, we have a fleet of 4 right now, and most of them are in disrepair. For instance, we have numerous beach parks right now that when rubbish comes up on the beach parks, we cannot haul that rubbish away. We also use excavators for the different county parks, flatbed trucks, heavy duty trailers, the backhoe. This is all important for our Puna parks. We have a very small staff at Puna, and they need the equipment to take care of their parks. Next slide, please. Curtistown Park. So the resurfacing of the tennis courts, these are the only tennis courts, public tennis courts in all of Puna. Right now, the surfacing is breaking up. We're seeing a large influx, especially from our senior population doing pickleball. We were able to get the lights working again at night, but it's actually not 100% safe out there at night because of the cracks and stuff. So we're doing our best to patch it, but a resurfacing of the only public tennis court in all of Puna is a priority of ours. Curtistown Park, right now, we have 2 benches out there that the kids have to sit in the sun and in the rain. In the second quarter of this year, we're going to begin our work on the Pahoa District Park ballpark fields, the ones that were used during the sheltering of our citizens. During that sheltering, we had a lot of people, there were needles, there were gouges in the fields, big indentations. So we received FEMA funding to fix those. Once we do that, we're going to shut down all of those. And so we need to provide other baseball parks, softball parks for all of Puna who needs to be using that. And so Curtistown Park, if we create those 2 covered cages, we'll also be able to put ADA walkways in there as well. Next slide, please. Oh, so that's it for me. Thank you for your time. I look forward to your questions. Aloha.
Thank you, Maurice. Appreciate the update and all the information. Okay, now we are moving on to an update from this isn't exactly lava recovery, but I do think it's very important for our community and the work that's being done out there. I'd like to turn the floor over to our Mass Transit Administrator, John Ando, for a public transportation update related to the Pahoa Bus Hub.
Top of the evening and aloha to everybody. John Ando, Mass Transit Administrator for the Mass Transit Agency. Just really quickly, Zendo, do I have slides attached to this, or is this the only slide?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that question. Someone else is controlling the back end of this. Is that Zoe?
John, this is your only slide.
Okay, thank you.
Your only slide, John.
Yeah,
Okay.
upload your slide deck and share it with folks via our website and on social media. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, thank you. So the Mass Transit Agency, we provide the island-wide public transportation system that is known as Helion. In front of you is our new branding that we're going to start putting on all of the buses, bus stop signs, and all of our marketing materials to give a fresh look to public transit on this island. As part of this family of services we provide, we offer fixed route bus service, paratransit services for those that have disabilities that cannot ride regular fixed route transit. We have partnerships with Hawaii County Economic Opportunities Council to provide specialized demand response services that's basically door to door for seniors, persons with disabilities, and low income residents that don't live near a Helion bus. We fund the High Bike system, which is the bike share system that is available in Kona or Kailua Kona and in Hilo. And then we also operate the shared ride taxi program, where we subsidize rides up to 9 miles within the Hilo urbanized area. We're also responsible for regulating taxi cabs island-wide. Back on September 5th, we launched a new transit network as part of the Transit and Multimodal Transportation Master Plan that was adopted in 2018. And as part of that new transportation network we're providing, we've doubled the service that's provided in the Puna district. We now have buses that run 7 days a week. You have a Route 40 that provides hourly service 7 days a week between Puna Kai Shopping Center and the Mo'oheau bus terminal in downtown Hilo. We have circulator buses that operate within the Puna district throughout the subdivisions, 401, particularly serving Hawaiian Beaches, Nanavali, Leilani Estates, Seaview Estates. 402, which is primarily servicing Hawaiian Paradise Park, Orchidland, Ka'au, and Analoa, as well as Hawaiian Acres. 403, which services Fern Acres, Fern Forest, Eden Rock, Ka'au, Shipman Business Park, and the zoo. And all of these routes meet at hubs that we have designated within the district. We have an interim hub at the Puna Kai Shopping Center. And then we also have an interim hub in Ka'au across the street from Long's. So you can make timed connections to these routes. The goal of the hub and spoke system is to make transit faster, more accessible to the community, and more streamlined. So we hope that you take advantage of our new network that we have in play. I'm always open to hearing feedback on how we can make transit better. And this, a lot of these changes are in accordance with the Puna Community Development Plan that was also prepared back in the early 2000s. Starting hopefully in March, pending County Council approval, it is our intent to go fare free on the Helion system. That includes fixed route bus and paratransit. This is a way to introduce people to the new transit network, as well as restore ridership, connect people to opportunity, and help make public transit an economic driver for not only the Puna district, but for the entire island as a whole. We are going through the process right now. The council have had their first reading and we're awaiting 2 more readings. And should this occur, we're looking at an implementation date of March. So hopefully that will entice people to take advantage of our new public transit system. As I'm showing on the screen, we have our new Helion logo, and we're going to start undertaking the rebranding of the transit system. You may have seen blue buses, green buses, goldenrod buses, buses that with flowers that have come from Maui. And it's our goal to have one consistent scheme, paint scheme that would match basically our island color as well as our island flower, the lehua. And hopefully starting later on this year, you'll start to see our new paint scheme roll out on our entire fleet. You're able to see a picture of what the bus looks like on our website at helionbus.org, as well as on our social media pages. As it relates to technology, we have expanded the use of technology. We now have a trip planner through Move It, where you can actually plan how to use public transit by basically putting in where you live, where you're trying to get to, and it'll tell you what bus routes you would need to take, the cost, and how long it would take you. Actually, later on this week, we'll also be in Google. So if you start to see a lot of bus stop icons scattered throughout the island, that's basically our bus stops for the Helion system. And you'll be able, through Google Maps, be able to compare transit travel times to biking, walking, or driving your own personal automobile. We also have a mobile app where you can pay for your fare through Token Transit. You can download that app and you'll be able to basically pay for your bus fare utilizing a credit card or a gift card with a Visa MasterCard logo. And it's another way that we're trying to make transit accessible to all. And then lastly, through our app that we have with Move It, you can also access the High Bike system. And that will allow you to pay for high bikes, unlock bicycles, and see how many bikes are available at docks that are located in Kailua, Kona, and Hilo. And then lastly, as part of technology, starting this month, those that utilize the Helion transit system gets free access to the High Bike system. And all you simply need to do is ask the bus driver for a code. The driver will, once you get that code, put it inside the High Bike app or at the High Bike kiosk, and you get unlimited 30-minute rides in either Hilo or Kailua Kona. And what I mean by 30-minute rides is basically as long as you ride the bicycle and return it back to the dock within 30 minutes, you can recheck it out again for another 30-minute period for the entire day. The last piece I want to talk about as it relates to the Mass Transit Agency is the Pahoa Transit Hub and bus stops. We are in progress of getting ready to study several sites so that we can construct a Pahoa Transit Hub. The site analysis that will be performed by our consultant will basically narrow down to 3 sites that we will ultimately purchase and then start the process to construct a transit hub. Our consultant will also prepare an environmental assessment and do the initial 30% design of the hub. We are also in discussions with the state library as it's a desire to potentially co-locate a library in the Pahoa and the Puna district with this transit hub to promote multimodalism and connectivity to the community. It is our intent that this hub will have a parking lot, areas for the buses to turn around, electric charging for cars and for the buses, a building that would feature restrooms, a community room, as well as potentially the library, restrooms, bike racks, telephone, and lighting and security. Also, in addition, we'll be engaging a consultant to assess all of the bus stops island-wide so that we can start ensuring that our bus stops are in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And as part of that assessment, we're also going to be transitioning the transit system from a flag stop system to a bus stop system with signs, benches, shelters, and ADA pads so that we can deploy wheelchair lifts or ramps for those that are mobility devices to access our transit system. And then the last thing I just want to mention is that we're also in the progress of basically replacing the entire transit fleet. We have enough grant funding to basically purchase 38 brand new buses. We are going through the process now to procure these buses, and it is our goal to have basically a fleet of the future in place by fiscal year 2024. And thank you for having me speak.
Awesome. Thanks, John. I appreciate the update. Okay, we will now move on to an update on the Pohiki boat ramp. We have Bob Masuda, Finn McCall from DLNR, as well as John Kitahara, their consultant. Not sure who will be giving the presentation, but I will open up the floor to whoever wants to grab it.
Zendo, I'll open up. Bob Masuda,
All right, Bob, you got it.
First Deputy at DLNR. I just wanted to mention our appreciation for working with folks like Ku'ule and Mililani and folks on the Pohiki boat ramp, as well as with all of the county folks, the university and others in some of the land issues around Kumukahi and working with protecting our iwi kupuna. We appreciate working with the lineal descendants there, and always happy to work with Keith and Mo and all of this county team. Good to see you guys. So I'm going to turn over the screen to Finn McCall, our Chief Engineer for our Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation. Finn will give you the overall update on the Pohiki ramp, which we consider to be one of the 2 most critical things in Puna for our State Department of Land and Natural Resources, along with the Kumukahi work. So Finn, you want to take over? I think you
Hello.
have something on the screen.
Yep. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Finn McCall. I'm the engineering branch head for the DLNR Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation. I have a short PowerPoint presentation here. I don't know if, can I share my screen, Zendo?
You should be able to. Go ahead. If you can't, then we will have some technical assistance for you. Yeah. There we go. You're good.
Hold on. Wait. Sorry. Here we go. Slide. Show. Sorry, guys. The Zoom bar is not letting me hit the slideshow button here. Oh, here we go. Okay. So here's a quick update on the Pohiki boat ramp restoration project. So right now we're currently in the permitting and design phase of the project. Right now we're the first step of that is doing an environmental assessment. There's a list here of the alternatives that are going to be considered in the EA. The preferred alternative, of course, in the project we're going to be pursuing is the dredging of the volcanic debris from the entrance channel and turning basin, and then put in hazard mitigation measures, essentially to protect the dredged area from erosion due to the wave action. Estimated costs for this project is between 3.5 million and 6 million. Second alternative in the EA, and this was looked at in a previous study, was to construct 2 large breakwater structures that extend out in the Pohiki Bay, and dredging out the area in between to provide access to the existing boat ramp. Estimated cost on that project was about 38 million. And then third alternative that will be looked at is construction of a whole new boat ramp on the north side of Pohiki Bay. And we've got a cost estimate of that of 28 million. And of course, the fourth alternative will be the no action alternative, which we do not intend on pursuing at all. And also, the EA is going to include all the items required needed for federal compliance so that FEMA can approve the project moving forward. We also have to do permitting for the project. Permitting process will begin after the final EA is issued. And the main permit we need is a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers to do the dredging work. It has mitigation, erosion control work. We also need various county and other state approvals. And then after the permitting is done, we move into the design phase. The final design is going to be based on the alternatives selected through the EA, which, as I mentioned previously, is the first alternative of dredging the channel and putting in erosion control structures to protect the entrance channel. And through the design process, we'll have final plans, specs, and bidding documents prepared for construction. So this is the EA alternative 1, our preferred scope of work. The area that you see there in red is the area where the erosion control, what are called marine mattresses, are going to be placed along the slope of the dredge area. The actual width of this might end up being wider to accommodate vessels coming in and out of the boat ramp. And here's another slide just showing where all the dredge material is going to be placed. It's going to be placed on the newly formed lava on the north side of the harbor. So here's a update on the status and timeline of the permitting design work that's going on. We do have a consultant contract that was executed in November. We're currently executing a supplemental contract to change our source of funds, and we are anticipating to give the notice to proceed by this month. And after the consultant contract is executed, we begin a pre-designed EA report. It's being done by our consultant, the Limtiaco Consulting Group. So the pre-designed EA report will summarize the alternatives that will be in the EA and the design concepts for each, with an estimated 4-month duration for that. And after that's completed, the elements of that report are going to be incorporated into the EA. We estimate the EA to be issued approximately 4 months after the pre-design report. After the draft EA is issued, we estimate to issue the final EA approximately 3 months after that. After the final EA is issued, we begin the permitting process, which will be based on the alternatives selected in the EA. We anticipate to submit all the required permit applications within 3 months after issuance of the final EA. And we're hoping for agency approvals within 6 months after submittal of our applications. After all the permitting is obtained, the next phase is to go into the final design for the project, and we estimate approximately 4 months for that. So total timeline from now to start of construction, we're looking at approximately 2 years. One item in here is FEMA has to approve our construction scope of work and cost. It's not in this timeline because we are going to try and get that done concurrently during the permitting and design phase to try and expedite the process. But just keep in mind that, you know, this is an estimated timeline. One of the things that is out of our control is how long it takes the various agencies to approve all of our permit applications. So we will continue to work diligently with those agencies to try to meet that 6-month mark. And in terms of construction, again, EA permitting design completions estimated to be done approximately 2 years from now, January 2024. Issue our solicitation for bids the same month and execute a contract by April 2024 and issue the construction NTP by May of 2024. And we estimate with a 6-month duration to be completed by approximately November 2024. So brief update on the funding sources. We have $500,000 allocated from the state legislature for a feasibility study. Those funds will be used for this consulting contract to prepare the EA and permitting and design. We also have $1.5 million allocated from the legislature to prepare plans and for construction. 235 of these funds will be encumbered into the consulting contract because the consulting contract includes the full scope of the EA, the permitting, and the design. So the balance of those funds, 1.265 million, will be used as the state's share of construction costs. And funding is available for FEMA for up to 75% of eligible costs, subject to FEMA's approval. And that concludes the
Finn?
update on Pohiki. Yes, Bob.
Yeah, Finn, just so that we give the audience a sense of why we went with option 1, dredging the previous channel, redredging or restoring the previous channel, because the restoration would save us a lot of time. Option 2 and option 3 in a new site would just catapult the time so far in the future that it'll surely kill all of our lavaya. So our priority was to try and regain access for all of the subsistence and commercial fishermen that use the boat ramp. And that's been our major thing pushing. And of course, some of the bureaucracy stuff all over when you're dealing among various levels, federal, state, etc., contributes to the time. But thanks, Finn. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, and I'm sure Ash will pass it on to Finn and myself, and we can get it back to Ash and other folks that we're working with. So that's the Pohiki ramp, Ashley.
Thank you.
I think just to take 1 minute to just mention that the other major thing of concern for the LNR is a cultural preservation thing. For working with the county and the university, we've already negotiated a transfer of the university property near around surrounding the Kumukahi lighthouse, and that will be transferred to the state so that the state can work with lineal descendants. And our intention is to work in partnership with the university, the county, and the state in helping to create an ancestral Iviku Puna sacred area. And that we can, because this is, Kumukahi is the first part of the state of Hawaii that greets the sun. And we know that culturally and value-wise, this is a very important thing. And so the Iviku Puna who are buried and interned there are important to all of us. And we are working hard on trying to collaborate, especially with lineal descendants, county and us, in working together. So we'll work with the county definitely. The university side, we've already had an agreement. I've talked directly with President Lasner and his representatives. So that's moving along. We just have to do it right and respectfully. So Zendo, that's the two major things that we have.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Finn. Really appreciate your diligence.
Hi, Zendo, this is Finn. Sorry, I forgot to mention one more thing that I saw brought up in the chats here. One thing that we are also going to incorporate into the EA is creating a swim area at Pohiki. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. That is not something that is eligible for FEMA funds, but we're going to include it in our EA anyways, so that it's covered in terms of the environmental review, because we know that's a very important thing for the Puna community.
Yeah, and it would not be appropriate or proper or respectful if we don't mention very significant supporters. Actually, she's pounding on me constantly. Your Senator Joy Bonaventura, who is a major advocate for hurry up and get the access to the ocean going. So when you see her, please thank her and thank Gregor Hilagan. I love working with Gregor. He's a great guy. So you have two state legislators and a county representative who are working very closely with us at the state, along with all of the county directors. Great county team. Thanks to Mayor for hiring such brilliant guys and charming.
Thanks, Bob. You're too kind. And Finn, thank you. I was about to put you guys on the spot with the safe swimming area based on our last conversation. So thanks for just coming out and putting it on the record. We really appreciate it. Pohiki needs it. I know you folks know that, and I really appreciate your diligence. And I really appreciate you, Gregor, helping bring additional funds forward to make that a reality. So thank you in advance. Okay. That concludes the general updates from all the various agencies. Thank you all very much. As you can all see, time is gotten a little bit away from us, but a lot of great information here. We're going to shorten the Q&A session to about 15 minutes. Going to take some hand raising, and I'll do some through the chat. Probably will not be able to answer everybody's question. We'll do one question per person and try to get as far as we can. If there's additional questions, please email the team and we will get answers to you all. We are not shy. We want to communicate effectively. So my suggestion would be to ask pointed questions. If you use your time to vent a little bit, so be it, but I will move it forward with other questions. So, Robert Golden, you can have the first question. If you're speaking, I cannot hear you.
Now you can hear me?
Yep.
Great. So I'm just speaking for many of us who are concerned about the lack of safe access. Finn did mention that there's going to be some kind of swimming access, but that actually we didn't really see that. And we don't really understand, many of us don't understand why there's Halanui cannot be restored, not to its original state, not digging down 20 feet, but why cannot some efforts be made to reconfigure that so there could be ocean access at Halanui? And I just would like to see the county put some serious effort into exploring areas so people can safely enter the water. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If you'd like to raise your hand, I can call you there. Or if you'd like to put your question in the chat. If you put your question in the chat 5 or 10 minutes ago, I'll probably not get to it. So you want to just go ahead and refresh it. Okay, PMAX, what about the new beaches? Living on Kapoho Bay, I watched Kumukahi used daily for 45 years with respect. Not really sure on that question. I know, okay. I got a road to recovery straight ahead on the screen.
Yes, I wanted to revisit Halanui as well. Since we have the LNR in the meeting, it seems like there should be a dialogue about securing some shoreline in front of the old park. It seems like that should have started quite a while ago. And also, at the last meeting, I asked for the county's assessment of how many people were utilizing the two parks on a daily basis. Main Street's gone ahead and made some estimates from our knowledge of the park, and if the county's unable to provide those numbers, it seems like they shouldn't be making decisions on how to allocate the funds for the restoration of those parks, whether or not to or against, without those numbers. And I would urge you, please provide us with an estimate. Maurice is on here, so maybe at some future meeting he can do that. But based off of what you guys were saying earlier about the county sending down multiple trucks a day to remove trash, it seems like that might be a way of trying to back estimate how many people utilize the parks. And I think those are crucial numbers when we're making decisions on what to restore and what not to restore. Considering that Halanui was the only place that disabled folks and elderly folks and very young children could access the ocean, it seems like it's hard to put a value on that, but it's definitely in the community's best interest to have that reestablished. I thank you.
Thank you, Amadeo. I was going to move back to PMAC's question about the beaches in Kumukahi and opening the new beaches. Just wanted to say that there's a lot of work going on the backside with the lineal descendants, cultural descendants, on just kind of how to manage that whole Kumukahi area. So it's a work in progress, but it is being worked on, and I don't have a lot of information to give you at this point in time. But I can say that everyone who's working on it does realize the value of the beach access and the importance of the beach access, and myself very, very deeply. So we will move to Leah.
Aloha. I just to follow up on the other questions regarding Halanui and the safe swim. Just a quick question that has been raised to me also from Auntie Luana Jones. We've been talking a lot. She's been working for decades in getting on this effort of safe swim in Pohiki or along the coastline long before the 2018 eruption. What is the possibility of pukaing a new pond with like some kind of makaha that, of doing that? Is that one option that we could look into as a community, and that might divert some of the traffic and pressure along the swim areas at possibly Pohiki by the boat ramp? Mahalo.
Thank you, Leah. I will turn that over to Finn.
Hi, this is Finn. Yeah, if I can share my screen again real quick, I can show the proximate area that we were looking at where the swim area was going to go. So the area in red here is the boat ramp entrance channel, and then this area over here would be an additional area that we would dredge out and stabilize to provide a swim area with buoys across the area where the channel is, to protect swimmers. Yeah, so that's basically kind of what we're looking at. In terms of excavating a new swim area, that is a possibility. We need to find a good location for it, of course, and get the funding for it. But permitting would be a pretty significant undertaking. But I mean, nothing's impossible if we have the funds, basically.
Yeah, I think we should also mention, Finn, that prior to coming up to this first, second, third kind of priority that Finn had in his presentation, we had commissioned immediately, within a year after the eruption finished, to look at restoring boat access for fishing, because we know how important fishing and fishermen are in Puna. We commissioned a study of potential areas to locate a ramp and a boat ramp harbor access kind of thing. And I think you all know, since you live there, and I know because I've been, visiting my grandma and grandpa in East Hawaii for ages, probably the oldest guy on this call, and have been fishing and diving all over that coast. And the toughest coast in the state is from Kumukahi to South Point. And there's not any big open bay or harbor that's a natural harbor. And the days of blowing up stuff and making pukas in the shoreline is a little different now. We have an environmental protection agency. We have all kinds of laws governing the protection of the shoreline and waterways. So it's complicated, but given the result on that first study we did on looking for alternative access ramps area, that's why we're looking at redredging and protecting. And part of the reason why Finn can cockroach a little bit from our construction and drainage of the access to the ocean again is he's probably going to use the dredging work time to help dredge out that other area so we can have a swim area. If we had to do it separately, of course, it would be much more expensive. We are trying to get maximum outcome from the minimal amount or the maximum amount we can get from the federal relief programs. So just to give you a background.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, and appreciate trying to get that economy of scale and your guys' commitment to getting the safe swimming area down in Pohiki. We are very grateful for that.